What's up, Taiwan? I'm Philip Brossard with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi says his country will carry on retaliating against U.S. tariffs. He made the comments at a rare press conference given on the sidelines of Beijing's key annual political meeting known as the Two Sessions. Louise Watt reports.
In his first few weeks in power, US President Donald Trump has upended US foreign policy, mending diplomatic ties with Moscow and stunning American allies with tariffs, not just on China, but on them too. And that was the background to the Chinese foreign minister's comments at a press conference on the sidelines of a major political gathering in Beijing. Wang Yi presented China as a reliable global power in a probable appeal to Europe and the global south. And he took aim at Washington, which is involved in tit-for-tat tariffs with Beijing.
大国应当承担国际义务，履行好大国担当，不能唯利是图，更不能恃强凌弱。
Wang said China would continue to counter pressure from the US, but also said there is space for cooperation. It's notable that Wang did not mention Donald Trump's name, and that's because despite its tough talk, Beijing is still hoping to negotiate a way out of the tariffs and lower tensions with Washington. Alex Chen and Louise Watt in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The Defense Ministry is reporting the largest ever incursion of Chinese balloons into the area around Taiwan. The ministry says it spotted 11 Chinese balloons near Taiwan in the 24 hours before Friday morning. At least 2 of those balloons flew directly over Taiwan's airspace at an altitude over 6,000 meters. The ministry says it also monitored 5 Chinese aircraft and 6 naval vessels operating around Taiwan in the same period. The government says Taiwan alone decides its defense budget. That's Defense Minister Wellington Gu's response to a Pentagon nominee who urged Taiwan to hike its defense spending.
相关的武器装备的采购都是基于防卫作战的实际需要来进行采购的。我们在台美在进行这些相关的这些所需要筹购的武器方面，我从来没有感觉到说美方是故意要塞一些我们跟防卫作战时期不需要的武器哦，大家都是共同讨论。
U.S. President Donald Trump's pick for Pentagon Policy Chief Elbridge Colby said on Tuesday that Taiwan needs to spend 10% of its GDP on defense. He argues the increase would counter threats from China. Right now, Taiwan spends 2.5%, with President Lai Ching-te pushing for 3% by next year. Many analysts say spending 10% of GDP on defense is not realistic. Japan and the U.S. are wrapping up military drills in Okinawa, not far from Taiwan. It's not unusual for the two countries, which have long-standing defense ties. But as the U.S. begins pulling out some of its Marines, Japan is looking to fill the gaps in the region's security. Hami Okan reports.
These U.S. and Japanese Marines are practicing how to call out targets. For almost 3 weeks, islands in Japan's Okinawa prefecture have turned into mini battlefields, with dozens of military aircraft buzzing around the strategic area. Officials here say it's a reflection of tensions in the region.
我が国は戦後最も厳しい安全保障環境に直面し、国際秩序は深刻な挑戦を受けています。ロシアによるウクライナ侵略と同様の事態が発生する可能性は世界中いかなる場所においても否定できません。
These annual exercises are called Iron Fist, and they focus on how to strike targets and coordinate attacks on various islands in the Indo-Pacific. The drills here are also some of the closest to neighboring Taiwan. Just 600 kilometers away sits Kadena Air Base, the closest U.S. military base to Taiwan. And it's a vital hub for U.S. operations in Asia. If a crisis were to erupt in the Taiwan Strait, it would take fighter jets from there around 3 hours to move in. The exercises here are just one part of a renewed effort by Japan to boost its defense, with a potential conflict over Taiwan a big motivator.
Japan has committed to acquiring counter-strike capabilities, including Tomahawk missiles, and expanding its defense budget to 2% of GDP, aimed at strengthening deterrence against a Taiwan contingency.
But a war around Taiwan isn't the only thing on Japan's mind. China's increasingly aggressive moves in Asia and an unpredictable foreign policy from U.S. President Donald Trump is increasing anxiety over Japan's security.
Japan's perennially been worried about two things with regard to the US. One is abandonment, so that the US loses interest, a strategic interest in Asia. And the other one is entrapment, so that Japan gets trapped in a US conflict in the region. And particularly, obviously, with the second Trump administration, that worry is being intensified.
The US and Japan do have a mutual defense treaty, but there's growing concern about how active the US will be in Asia's security. That's why these exercises are a chance for Japan to practice taking matters into its own hands. But while China causes a stir in the region, new partnerships between North Korea and Russia are also pushing Japan to stay alert.
Really high level, they are concerned about current Russia-North Korean cooperation of the nuclear development. So I think East Asia country policymakers should pay attention to the more multilateral discussion about arms control in the region.
More joint drills are scheduled for later this month, as Japan looks to take ownership, not just of its own defense, but in its role in helping prevent a regional conflict. Fu Huahong and Jaime Okan in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Transgender rights activists in Taiwan are protesting what they say are unconstitutional requirements for transgender people. Current laws say they must undergo surgery to change their gender marker on their IDs. Rick Glowert reports.
A new tactic from transgender rights activists in Taiwan, calling for the National Ombudsman to find out why the government here refuses to budge on what they say is an unconstitutional law. The requirement for transgender people who want to change their gender marker on official documents to undergo surgery.
会很多时候在用到身份证上性别的时候，会不经意的被出柜，然后让我过去的那个身份被很多人知道，然后我很难控制。
For activists, removing this rule is key to trans equality.
强制手术侵害人权，于法无据，立即撤销。
In Taiwan, a country known for its strong democracy and commitment to human rights, transgender rights are the next big challenge. Activists here say that when it comes to LGBTQ+ issues, the transgender community is being left behind. Taiwan was the first country in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage in 2019. And despite some promising signs, key transgender issues like the requirement to have surgery to change gender markers on documents have made little progress. Transgender Taiwanese have been taking the surgery issue to court, and together with LGBTQ+ rights activists, they've won 6 cases, but the government has not moved.
其实这也是我们完全不能理解的部分，甚至在法院开庭的过程中，法官都是直接指责内政部，认为内政部在这个情况下还不变更函释，其实是违反了这个宪政的原则，他们等于完全不理会司法院这边给出来的意见。
In a statement this week, Taiwan's Interior Ministry said it was still holding consultations on what it says is an issue that affects all of society. But transgender people here and their supporters are tired of bureaucracy. They say the current rules breach their fundamental human rights and must change. Andy Xue and Rick Laut in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taipower is being fined for failing to report a fire at a nuclear power plant immediately. The blaze broke out at the state-owned energy company's facility in southern Taiwan on Thursday morning. It was extinguished within half an hour with no damage to the plant's reactors. The Pingdong County government says it could fine Taipower up to $3,000 for not reporting the incident as soon as it happened. Taipower says it reported the incident within 2 hours as required. It's been almost 2 months since deadly wildfires ripped through thousands of homes in California. Communities there are still working to recover and rebuild their lives. To help them, the state is turning to technology with a digital tool inspired by Taiwan. Joyce Tseng reports.
In Southern California, recovery efforts still ongoing from January wildfires that killed at least 29 people, destroying over 16,000 buildings and homes. California Governor Gavin Newsom now using new technology to help the Golden State rebuild.
So the whole idea of this platform is to create additional opportunities for you to directly engage.
The platform Engaged California has been years in the making and aims to be a digital space where residents can get involved, share their needs, and help inform policy decisions. The tool's relevance and potential for impact highlighted by the wildfires.
What is really important, prioritized for these government entity, to be responsive to our residents' needs in an era where there's just lots of information, lots of confusion, and lots of, stress. It's in a moment like that is the reason why this program was launched, to help.
Instead of an email, letter, or a phone call to officials that might not lead to action, residents can head to the website, a place for similar suggestions to gain strength in numbers and for different opinions to be discussed both online and in person to find a solution. It's a concept inspired by a similar tool from Taiwan.
Here in Taiwan, citizen-led discussions on a digital platform like Engaged California has led to decisive government action in at least 20 cases. For instance, Taiwan's model has helped find consensus over controversial issues like how to regulate ride-sharing app Uber and how to tackle scam advertisements.
The pioneer behind digital democracy here is Audrey Tang, the programmer turned Taiwan's first digital minister, now a cyber ambassador who helped set up California's program.
Letters to the president every day.
In an exclusive interview with TaiwanPlus, Tang says from Taiwan's experience, an online deliberation tool not only made policies more effective, but also made people more willing to engage.
When people in Taiwan, despite their political party differences, can nevertheless agree on things related to Uber, to the liability of online platform when it comes to fraudulent advertisements and many other things, it increases the connective tissue of the civil society. So that with the civic muscles, people do feel that it's not just about partisan politics, but also about the co-creation of policies.
In an era of information overload and countless online forums, trust between users and the platform's makers is invaluable. Given California's population is almost double that of Taiwan, that ups the challenge. But Tang is hopeful.
We're now seeing a shift from the vertical institutional trust to this horizontal, this crowd-based trust. Of course, this transition is never easy. We're slightly out of our comfort zone here, but I do think that this new form of trust will be more scalable and more resilient. From a Taiwan experience, it also made us anti-fragile against the polarization attacks.
Though optimistic about tech-driven solutions, Tang says it's also important to have some level of skepticism, a sentiment California's program makers also had, to ensure the tech works in favor of people and their true opinions.
Technology is absolutely critical to the platform, but we want to be very flexible. We want to not limit ourselves by any one particular choice in the technology. The other thing that's really critical about building the trust is that we show we're listening and that we take action.
In the face of catastrophe, it takes a village to bounce back. For California, they say they've built a town hall for the modern era, using tech to help find the solutions people want. Luffy Lee, Patrick Chen, and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we leave you with images of Picasso works on display in Rome, Italy. I'm Philip Brossard. Take care and see you next time.